Okay, so here's some advice about selecting colour and deploying colour and actually creating colour schemes that are harmonious and will work without being too garish. Animator John Kay, the guy responsible for Ren and Stimpy, among other things, has got some really intelligent and fascinating blog posts about the use of colour in animation, but this can be applied to all sorts of other artwork as well. And he observes that there's some really garish colours that are used in like classic cartoons, but that these colours don't work terribly well together. Every colour here is competing for attention. But if you were to go a little further back into animation history, you'll find that earlier cartoons make use of warmer, complex colours. And he calls these the poo and the pea colours, the very earthy, natural colours, the kinds of colours of skin tone and of nature, of mud and earth and clay. So we can borrow this guidance, this advice. What I did is I had a look on Morguefile for a good picture from nature. Morguefile provides copyright cleared images. So one of my favourite search terms to find a good nature kind of image as a reference for a colour scheme is the word hummingbird, not Ford. Hummingbird. So here we've got some of these earthy colours, the greens and the browns, but also some slightly brighter colours as well. And we'll show how those can work well when accompanied by these very earthy colours, greens, browns, yellows. But I've selected one that's got a little bit, just one kind of bright garish colour in it to see if this will still work for us. So here we are in Photoshop with the image that I've downloaded from Morguefile. I've reduced the resolution of it a little bit because it was quite high resolution, and that is just so that when I apply a mosaic filter to it, we get quite a coarse mosaic, quite blocky colours. So we've lost the detail of the image, and all that we're preserving now is the colours that are found within it. And I think this is quite a nice colour scheme. I think this works quite well. I could see this being used in some artwork, but I did want to kind of interrogate why I think these colours work well together. So let's just have a look at our colour wheel, and if we kind of try and identify where this purple is, I'll use my eyedropper here to pick out this purple, and then by switching my background and foreground colours I can click and hold and try and get the kind of equivalent position of the. So our purple is about here, around about here on the colour wheel. And similarly, looking for the greens, our greens are about here. So they're not quite opposing on the colour scheme, on the colour wheel. They're not quite opposite. There's an opportunity to perhaps create a triadic colour scheme here by taking a colour from this region. So if we were to look at this point of the colour wheel, what we end up with is this nice triadic kind of arrangement of colours. So I'm just going to add one colour to this this natural colour swatch from this region of the colour wheel. So that gives me my third colour. And maybe I have departed a little bit from those pea and poo colours that John Kay was talking about, but nevertheless I think these will work together because they've got this relationship on the colour wheel. So what I've now got is an RGB colour swatch, and I can use that in Illustrator. The first thing that I'll do is I'll take a copy of these colours and then save them in a CMYK format before pasting them over into Illustrator. So here's my colour swatch, and here's some artwork that I've already created, and I'm now going to apply this colour scheme to my artwork. So I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool up here, Y. The Magic Wand is slightly different to the Magic Wand in Photoshop because it selects objects with similar properties. So if I click on one of these black objects, it will select all of the black objects. And then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to change this colour to one of my darker colours on my swatch. So I'll just pick out that green. And similarly with the magic wand, I'm going to pick out all of these midtones from the image, and here I'll use the eyedropper to pick out a midtone, so the purple, and then using the the magic wand again, let's pick out the highlights of the image and use our eyedropper to apply that colour there. So I think this is a good combination of colours. One of the things that I can also continue to do is I can respect the hues, but maybe just change the brightness or the shade of these colours. So if I feel like my highlight is a nice hue, but perhaps too dark or too saturated, then I can change the opacity of these elements or the tint in some applications. So let's just make that a little less saturated, and I'll do the same with my purples. Just reduce the saturation of that a little, and there we go.